phones, Babylons can't crack the code.
Julian Edelman, after an 11-year NFL career, has officially retired from the game itself. Julian Edelman's football career is something that seems like it's straight out of a movie. He came from a guy in high school who had 0 scholarship offers at all and had to take the JUCO route and only had 1 offer coming out of JUCO, and he was a quarterback as well, and then once he got to the NFL, had to switch to receiver and had a really good career as a receiver. In today's video, this is B. Kelly back again with another banger video, and in today's video, y'all, I'm going to talk about the Julian Edelman story. To start off the Julian Edelman story, we're going to take it all the way back to the beginning at Woodside High School in Woodside, California, where Julian Edelman played both football and baseball. If you saw Julian Edelman when he first got to Woodside High School as a freshman, you would have never thought he would become a wide receiver in the NFL, as he was very short and only weighed 100 pounds. Julian Edelman would of course hit a growth spurt while he was in high school, and he was his school's starting quarterback for his team. As a senior, he led his team to a 13-0 record in 2004, and in his whole high school career, he passed for 2,237 yards and 29 touchdowns, while rushing for 964 yards and 13 rushing touchdowns. Although Julian Edelman was a very successful starting quarterback at Woodside High School, nobody was looking at him at all because of his size. Coming out of high school, he was only 5'10" and 180 pounds, and that's not really an ideal quarterback weight or height. And he had no scholarship offers coming out of high school and would end up going JUCO. Julian Edelman would spend 1 year at College of San Mateo, where he was their starting quarterback, and he threw for 1,312 yards and 14 touchdowns and rushed for a school record of 1,253 yards and 17 touchdowns. This lone season at College of San Mateo would be enough for Julian Edelman to get noticed by one D1 school, and that was Kent State. That was his only offer coming out of JUCO, and of course he would take it. According to the 24/7 Sports composite JUCO rankings in the 2006 recruiting class, Julian Edelman was a 3-star recruit, the 103rd best player in the nation for JUCO, and the 4th best dual-threat quarterback. In Julian Edelman's first year at Kent State in the 2006 college football season as a sophomore, he would be the starting quarterback for the Golden Flashes. Now, he would play pretty well this season for a first-year starter on the collegiate level. He did have his bumps and bruises along the road, where he would end up completing 55% of his passes and only throwing for 1,859 yards, while throwing 10 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. On the ground, he rushed for 658 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. He would help lead Kent State to a 6-6 record, but they ultimately missed a bowl game. In Julian Edelman's junior season at Kent State, he was the starting quarterback yet again, but in this season he would only appear in 8 games due to some injury issues, and he would only end up completing 52% of his passes while throwing for 1,318 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. On the ground in this season, he rushed for 455 yards and 2 touchdowns. This was a down season for Julian Edelman, and Kent State would end up going 3-9 in this season. For the 2008 college football season, Julian Edelman knew he had to ball out in his final year if he wanted to impress any NFL scouts, and he did just that. In the 2008 college football season, in his senior campaign, he would end up completing 56% of his passes while throwing for 1,820 yards and 13 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. But the most impressive part about his game this season was on the ground, when he rushed for 1,370 yards, averaging 6 yards per carry, and 13 touchdowns. In this season as well, Julian Edelman would break the total offense single-season record that used to be Josh Cribbs in 2003. Although Kent State ended up going 4-8 in this season, Julian Edelman definitely had a great year. Even though Julian Edelman was coming off his best season in his collegiate career yet, he would not be invited to the 2009 NFL Combine, and that was mainly because no one viewed him as someone that was going to play quarterback on the next level, which it was justifiable because he honestly did not have the greatest arm, and he wasn't really the most accurate, and he did throw a lot of interceptions. His best part of his game was really when he was running on the ground. Julian Edelman did have a very impressive NFL Pro Day, and he even had a very good private workout with a team that had their eye on him. Julian Edelman going into the 2009 NFL Draft was seen as someone that was probably going to be undrafted or a late 7th round pick. People knew he was very athletic and he had the speed to be another position in the NFL or be a wildcat quarterback for any team in the league, but nobody really saw him getting drafted because, well, to put it quite frankly, he was not the best quarterback in the world, and he probably was not going to translate very well into the NFL as a smaller quarterback that was not a very accurate passer. But going back to that team that noticed him especially well in that private workout that they had was the New England Patriots, and they would end up taking him in the early 7th round with the 232nd overall pick in the 2009 NFL Draft. When Julian Edelman got to camp for the New England Patriots, he would ultimately switch his position from quarterback to wide receiver. In the 2009 NFL season as a rookie, Julian Edelman would actually play very well for a guy who only played in 11 games and was a 7th round pick. He ended up starting in 7 of the 11 games he played in, and he had 37 receptions, 359 receiving yards, averaging 10 yards per reception, and 1 touchdown. Not bad for a guy who was drafted in the 7th round and was primarily a quarterback all his life. Although Edelman was coming off a very impressive rookie campaign for a guy who's really never played receiver before and was a 7th round pick, his playing time as a receiver on the field would dwindle in the next 3 seasons of his NFL career from 2010 to 2012. In those 3 seasons, he was primarily a special teams guy and was a big contributor and a big impact player on the special team sides of things. He even made a Super Bowl appearance for the Patriots in 2011, but they would end up losing to the Giants. In 2012, his playing time would get back up a little bit again, where he did start in 3 of the 9 games he did play in, and had 235 receiving yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. Right before the 2013 NFL season, Julian Edelman would sign a 1-year contract with the New England Patriots, and he did something unimaginable that no one saw coming in the 2013 NFL season. In this season, in 16 games played in the regular season, he would end up having 1,056 yards and 6 touchdowns. After his breakout season in 2013, Julian Edelman in the 2014 season was finally seen as the main receiver, or at least one of them, in the beginning of the year. In the 2014 NFL season, he won a Super Bowl, and he had 972 receiving yards, averaging almost 11 yards per reception and 4 touchdowns. In the 2015 NFL season, Julian Edelman would only play in 9 games in that regular season due to injury issues with his leg, and he would eventually come back for the playoffs, but he would miss a good part of the season. For this year, he would have 692 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. For his 2016 campaign, he would have a very good bounce-back season from the season prior due to injuries, where in 16 regular season games, he had 1,106 receiving yards, averaging 11 yards per reception and 3 touchdowns. Edelman would end up winning his 2nd career Super Bowl in this season as well. In the 2017 season, Julian Edelman would miss the entire year due to an ACL tear, and in 2018, he would miss the first 4 games of the season due to a suspension. In the regular season of that year, he would end up having 850 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns. But in the Super Bowl of that year, he would be named the Super Bowl MVP. In 2019, it really seemed like Julian Edelman was the only receiver on that team since Rob Gronkowski retired, and he would have a very good season where he would have 1,117 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns through the air, but the New England Patriots would end up getting bounced out of round 1 by the Tennessee Titans, and Tom Brady would end up leaving after this season. Julian Edelman in the 2020 NFL season, his first season without playing with Tom Brady, he would end up injuring his knee and having to get a minor knee surgery, which he wasn't expected to miss too much of the season, but he would end up missing most of the season. He would only play in 6 games in this year, where he had 315 receiving yards, averaging 15 yards per reception, and 0 touchdowns. In the 2021 NFL offseason, Julian Edelman would end up failing a physical for the New England Patriots, and the Patriots would ultimately terminate his contract, and he would end up retiring from football altogether. This is not the way that anybody wants to see a very good receiver end his football career, especially a receiver that has a story and journey like Julian Edelman, having to end his career earlier than he really probably should because of injuries and a failed physical. But something we can all agree on is that he had a very good career that not many people saw coming. Fun fact, his English teacher in his junior college actually thought and even told him he was never going to go to the league and he needed to set up some more realistic goals. Well, safe to say, he proved her wrong. And in his career, he had 6,822 receiving yards, averaging 11 yards per reception, and 36 touchdowns through the air. He would be a 3-time Super Bowl champion and a 1-time Super Bowl MVP. If there's anything you can take from this video, it is to never give up on your dreams and to keep going hard at what you want to do in life. Well guys, now that I'm at the end of the video, remember to smash that like button, turn on them post notifications, and subscribe for more videos. B. Kelly out.